Hello everyone, thanks so much for tuning in and checking out this video. Thanks so much for checking out the regathering information that we sent out last week, as well as checking out that video. Thanks so much for your questions, your responses, your interaction. It's really helpful to us, so thank you so much for that. Obviously, this is an unfolding journey for all of us. Things are changing on a regular basis. So thankful for the relaxing of restrictions, and yet I think you would agree with me that all of us feel we're just kind of done with this thing, and we really can't wait for things to keep on moving. Just a couple of thoughts that we wanted to follow up on. Over the last several weeks, Hebrews chapter 10, verses 24 and 25 have been very, very much on my mind. In those verses, the author talks about the importance of us gathering together as followers of Christ. Here's what those verses say. And let us consider how we may spur one another on toward love and good deeds, not giving up meeting together as some are in the habit of doing, but encouraging one another, and all the more as you see the day approaching. As I've thought about this whole thing, I think there's two different directions or two different mindsets that people could have coming out of this season of shutdown, particularly as it relates to church gatherings. Number one, people could say, you know what? The church has been shut down. We haven't been able to gather. I can literally listen to a church service, incredible teaching from a pastor or a church anywhere in the world, in the comfort of my own home, possibly in my PJs, coffee in hand, eating breakfast, whatever it is. Like, why would I ever go back if I can access these kind of resources anywhere in the world? Why would I ever go back? My prayer is that's not the direction that we head. Instead, my prayer is that this season would actually fuel our desire and passion and our understanding of the importance of being together. That we would say, you know what? I can access awesome teaching, great church services anywhere in the world. But gathering together physically and serving one another physically, lifting our voices together physically, joining together physically is so important for what it means to be a follower of Christ. So my personal desire is and prayer is that becomes the passion, and this whole season of being away actually refuels that. That being said, certainly a church building isn't necessarily essential to gather together to spur one another on. This is our 150-year anniversary celebration. And when we chose 1870 as the date from which to begin our years of celebration, we actually had to make a decision. Because in 1870, a number of folks got baptized in the south branch of the Regathering River, and they began gathering together. And so we actually chose to establish our anniversary date from 1870. It actually wasn't until 1872 that a building was built and an official pastor was called. And so we could have said, we'll base it on 1872 since that's when they had the building. We actually based it on 1870 precisely because people did start gathering together during that time. Gathering together was important. It is important. It wasn't until 1872 they had a building, but they actually began gathering in 1870. So the importance of gathering has always been incredibly important and woven into our DNA here at Southridge. As we said last time, our desire to gather together and the importance to gather together as a body of Christ, balanced with present regulations, is something that we presently are dealing with and walking through. I have been thankful that it doesn't appear that the government is discriminating against churches. And primarily the reason I know that is because the sports industry has also been shut down. And our culture actually, I think, often idolizes sports. And so I am at least thankful that even though we are culturally often tend to idolize and place an over-importance on sports, that sports gatherings as well have been shut down. That being said, we are certainly pushing hard, and we really do value the opportunity to regather again right here in our auditorium as the full body of Christ. Those verses there mention not giving up meeting together. That idea can look like abandoning, deserting, leaving it behind, neglecting it. that is positively something that we don't want to do. We don't simply want to abandon it, neglect it, forsake it. I personally have been able to be part of some smaller gatherings that I've been part of virtually that began, we used to gather physically. And so I personally am thankful for continued opportunities to spur one another on toward love and good deeds. Certainly want that to happen physically, but hopefully you as well have been part of those kind of gatherings that maybe you were part of previous to the shutdown, and you've continued to gather online for the purpose of spurring and encouraging one another on toward love of God and good deeds toward others. Just a couple of other things. Because again, we really do value the time that we have together as a body and connecting with one another. Next week, we're going to be getting more information about this, probably this weekend. We're actually going to have opportunities for some folks to gather outdoors on our patio for times of prayer. Our country desperately needs prayer during this season of time. It's in desperate need of prayer. And so we're actually beginning to arrange gatherings for next week, the week following June 7th, the week of June 7th, where we can have simply small gatherings on our patio, appropriately sized under the regulations, to gather together and pray. On Sunday, June 14th in the afternoon, we're arranging for kind of a drive-through experience, again, that will conform to regulations. We think it's going to be a powerful experience. Hopefully we'll have some live worship. It'll be a time to see one another and not necessarily getting out of cars, but we're creating an experience for that Sunday that we're really excited about, and we think will be welcome as well. Beyond that, we're also kind of brainstorming and different kinds of ideas. Some people have suggested drive-in services. Our thought process on that to date, after interacting with some folks, has been this. People are already feeling kind of cramped in their homes, and to drive in and kind of be confined to your car has not necessarily been attractive to some folks. Like, I'm already kind of cooped up in my home. Why would I want to be cooped up in my car on a church campus? And families feel like they could worship even just more effectively at home together as a family. As I said, we are planning sort of a drive-through experience. We're looking forward to that. Most likely, we will be planning some sort of outdoor gathering in July. Maybe that's a worship night. Maybe it's Sunday morning services. As regulations relax, we're hoping we're going to be able to do that. Some of you have been around for a while know that part of our DNA is that probably a number of years ago, maybe 15 years ago, something like that, we actually renovated our whole auditorium, took out the pews, carpeting, lighting, everything, gutted the whole place. And for a whole month, the whole Southridge congregation met outdoors in a tent. And so that's part of our DNA, and that we may do something like that in the months of July as we would be permitted to. Certainly encourage you, if you're part of an existing group, continue to meet virtually. Possibly you can meet outdoors. And we've already had a small group or two meet here on our patio outdoors, appropriately sized. That's been a blessing. That's been a gift. We want to also provide some other opportunities for that as well. One thing that we have mentioned is watch parties. Watch party would simply be gathering together in your home with some neighbors or friends and watching the service together, again, appropriately sized, and having conversations about the service, possibly breakfast, enjoying some fellowship time. And that would simply be a watch party of gathering in a home, watching and participating in the online service together, and then interacting with it. So those are some things we're working on. Again, this journey is going to be ongoing. Thank you so much for your partnership in this. This is a journey for all of us. Hopefully this information is helpful. We want to continue to get information out to you. Again, man, I hope that this season of time really fuels our passion to be together as the body of Christ, serving one another, worshiping together, loving and spurring one another on toward good deeds. God bless and have a great day.